is what I'm going to do now. And I really feel like they are going to.
Dr. Crow, I'm going to make you a co-host.
All right.
And I see my partner in crime. I'm going to make him a co-host. He knew I was talking about him. Anybody else I should make a co-host while I'm thinking about it?
And Dr. Shields, just let me know when you're ready and I'll introduce you and we'll start rolling.
Perfect. Okay. And I meant to mention this morning, I am denying any AI friends just because, you know, this is our personal space. So if you have an AI companion who somehow joins Zoom, we just deny those because we want everybody to feel comfortable saying what they got to say. All right, Dr. Crow, I am ready when you are.
All right. Welcome to the drill, Alabama NBCT Scholarship. This is for those interested in pursuing the scholarship. We have with us today Dr. Melissa Shields. She's the Assistant State Superintendent with the Alabama State Department of Education. I'm Laura Crow. I serve as the East Alabama Regional In-Service Center Director at Auburn University. I will be monitoring the chat and helping the presenter answer any questions you may have. We want this to be engaging and informative. Even though we must all remain muted, please keep your camera on. We want to see you. Be sure to ask questions in the chat or unmute yourself if prompted by the presenter. We are recording this session, so you may view it later. I'm posting today's attendance form into the chat, so let me do that for you. I'm actually putting several things into the chat. Into the chat, you will find the attendance form for today. You only need to complete it once for the day. There is the official boot camp program in Canva that you can link to, and also go ahead and register yourself in PowerSchool for today as well. Most important thing is that attendance sheet. We would like for you to also register in PowerSchool. So I have posted the attendance form in the chat. Please complete it to receive professional learning credit. Again, you only need it to do it for the whole day. We will post attendance sheets each day. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Dr. Shields.
Thank you, Dr. Crow. If you're wondering, like, wow, that looks different. So I've made a little trip from Birmingham to my Montgomery office since I last joined you, and I have not been fast enough to put the awesome boot camp background. So in case we did not meet this morning, as Dr. Crow said, I'm the Assistant State Superintendent, but I'm a nationally board certified teacher. And if you see my signature, you will see that that is something I'm very, very proud of. I went through national board much like you know, just like I want to know more about it. I want to elevate my profession and my learning. It was really important to me when I heard it was I think they called it back then, the bar exam for teachers. I'm like, well, I want to do that. I want to see if I have what it takes to be an accomplished teacher in the national board's lens. And so I also went through this scholarship in 1998, actually. I think it was a brand new within just a couple years of being in existence. And I heard about the opportunity. I was like, I don't have the money. I have two small babies, and you know, I'm a teacher working 30 minutes away from my job. And so I applied for the scholarship, and I was very, very excited to get it. Funny, not so funny. I actually got to go through the scholarship twice. Dr. Rogan has heard this story a couple times because maybe about a month or so after getting the scholarship, I got just a terrible health diagnosis. And, you know, cancer will kind of make you put everything on hold. So I called the State Department and said, hey, can you put my scholarship on hold for, a month, a year. I wished it was a month. And they're like, no, I can't do that. You know, I called National Board. They're like, no, you know, you got to do everything in 1 year. So we are really glad now that we have a structure in place that when someone has something like that happen, or someone just really busy, that now you can, you know, you have the 3 years to complete your National Board portfolio. So if you get the scholarship, it's not something you have to do with the whole thing the next year. You certainly can. But I'm pleased to tell you, I went through the scholarship application the very next year, got it again, and went through National Board all back then it was 6 components, and became a National Board certified teacher. I do want you to know, I mentioned Dr. Rogan. Dr. Rogan, you had a big shout out this morning. I just need you to know that. We shared some of those OG pics from our first boot camps at your church where we put 87 people in a Sunday school classroom meant for 12. And how the boot camp has just continued to grow. Dr. Rogan has been, when he retired as the RIC director at UAB, because he was so instrumental in helping us get those numbers that I shared with you this morning. We've had so much momentum. I had the wonderful pleasure to bring him with me, and he has been serving as what we call a retired state employee for the State Department, and his central focus is on supporting national boards. So, Dr. Rogan, I wanted to give you a minute to introduce yourself since I didn't get to meet you this morning.
Right. Well, thank you, Dr. Shields. Yeah, it's always a pleasure to meet with and talk with people who are interested in becoming National Board Certified. It's one of the great initiatives that we have going on in Alabama. We know that it really makes a difference, and we've already seen tremendous results in the last few years as far as the improving education in Alabama, and national board teachers really help fuel the fire. They keep the thing going. And so we're excited about all these people who are interested in becoming national board certified. And we have a great system across the state, including the regional and service centers, that will help you get there. You'll never be alone in this journey. So it's a great journey. It's a great professional learning, and we're glad to have you.
Thank you. We do have a lot of supports for folks going through the grant, or what we call now it used to be called a grant, now we call it a scholarship. And because we've, we work really closely with the application itself, with the rubric. What you get today is we're going to give you the goods. We're going to just tell you some things to think about. And normally when we share about the scholarship, folks are like, oh, okay. We have developed the scholarship to be the application to be like a mini version of national board. So it really kind of sets the pace for what you need to know, what you need to be thinking about. So I threw in the chat a link to the grant document that I'm going to go ahead and share. Let me just pull that over here to the screen. And Dr. Rogan, let's just do what we do. So please, at any minute, any moment, if I forget something, please help me remember. So this is the actual application page. This is where we have all the information you would ever need. We just closed the application in March of, we usually open it around January of every year, somewhere in middle January. And we give, is it March 31st is our normal deadline?
Yes.
So, and then we spend the next couple months reading the applications, and then we award them usually by May 15th, somewhere in mid-May, somewhere in that general area. Usually before, though, we're really proud. We usually get those award letters in as soon as we can. So I want to go through what the scholarship is, what it looks like, because we would love for each of you to apply. A few things you need to know up front is that, like I said before, if you receive the scholarship, you have the 3 years to complete it. So whatever National Board says that's what we say too. So if you choose to pursue the scholarship, the way we have it right now is we use like a Google form because we knew that was very friendly with so many of your school systems. But we have a few school districts we've learned that don't play with Google. And so we've had to say, they'll be like, I'm having trouble accessing it. So we've always just said, well, just use your other Gmail account. So if you ever try to get to this application, you're like, I'm struggling, it's probably because your district has blocked Google Forms. And so our workaround has just been to use your personal Google account. So if I could in the chat, just so I can see, our audience here, how many of you, like today is your very first day to learn anything about National Board? Like if you'll put something in the chat or give me some sort of reaction emoji, that would be super helpful. Let me look at the chat over here. Okay, I see a few. Okay, but most of you have, you know, like, I know stuff. Okay, that's helpful because I didn't want to get too much into the weeds. So what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to go through the scholarship application, like what it looks like, and I'm going to tell you some tips and tricks that we have learned over the years. So I was on this sheet, the document that I gave you, and I've clicked on screenshot. The reason I'm not going to the live site, well, one, is down because we've closed it, and also I wanted you to see the actual application as a whole, so I don't have to kind of get piecemeal it. So when you pull up the application, it's going to ask for just your basic information, you know, who you are, what school you're from. The package that you will put together for your scholarship application is pretty simple. You're going to complete this form with all this, you know, stuff about you, how many years you've been teaching, what your certificate is, that sort of thing. And then the second part of that is you're gonna submit your letters of recommendation. So we ask that you get at least 2 letters of recommendation. I will say it can be from your parents, you know, student's parent. It can be from a co-teacher. It can be from a principal, from a curriculum person. We've had some have their students send letters that just always touch my heart. So we want 2 letters of recommendation. I'll talk a little bit more about that. The other piece of that is we're going to want what we call a profile of teaching. So if you remember this morning, Dr. Sibley, who spoke right before I did, she talked about the 5 core propositions. And one of the pieces of information that you will submit as part of your writing would be your profile of teaching as it relates to those 5 core propositions. Now, what we tell folks to do is, you know, you're going to go through these 5 core propositions and give examples. And I'm going to give you an example of that in just a moment. So here's the thing, what we have learned with scholarships and also with the National Board portfolio. If you have already been in a component session today, I hope you have already heard that this is nothing like your college courses. So if you've gone through a master's class or an EDS class, or you've got your doctorate and you're writing really scholarly, there is no APA in National Board. There's none of that. You should never say something like, you know, I believe a teacher should. We want it to be like, I believe. Like this is what I believe. This is my heart. So we remind those that are completing the application to write in first person. Don't say a teacher should. Say I. You know, speak me and I. And keep in mind that this piece of writing should capture the life and heart of your classroom. Avoid writing like, you know, of course, now we have ChatGPT, Dr. Rogan, which we have never had before this last couple of years. We want to be able to read your scholarship application and hear your classroom. Are you hearing me? Like, we want to hear your voice. We want to see your aha moments. So let's just look at these 5 core propositions. Now, nothing is more painful as a National Board mentor, and I have been mentoring now for 25 years. Someone has not been going to the RIC Center and having, you know, someone be a thought partner, so they've just tried to go it alone. And some folks are very successful at that. But you know what's really hurtful is when someone's not talked to anybody, and right before they're about to submit their portfolio, this actually happened, you know, and I'm looking at it, and she single spaced her entire component. Well, actually, she single spaced all of her components. I'm looking at Laura and some of the other NBCTs, you know, in the room. I had to tell her, it says double space. Everything had to be double spaced, and it had to be 12 font. Like, the National Board is very clear about your margins, your font, whether it's double spaced. So we followed exactly what National Board does. You know, we're very clear. So if someone doesn't follow the instructions for that, that's a red flag. So the profile where you write about you and your classroom should not be more than 2 single space typed pages, and we're very clear about what that should look like. So that is going to look something like, let me give you some examples, some things that we have learned. And Dr. Crow, Dr. Rogan, and I'm trying to think if is there anybody in the room that has, who has also helped score or read through some of these grant applications. The first one says teachers are committed to their students and their learning. I'll make this a little bigger. I know it's really small. I'll make it a smidge bigger for you. There we go. Teachers know the subjects they teach and how to teach those subjects to students. Teachers are responsible for managing and monitoring student learning. Teachers think systematically about their practice and learn from experience. Teachers are members of learning communities. Now, if you want to have that broken down a little bit, which I'll see if I can make that hyperlinked. I think I did somewhere later on the screen. Yeah. It actually breaks it down, like this kind of deconstructs each of those. What we encourage people to do is this. So as you're writing your profile, where you're talking about your classroom as it relates to those 5 core propositions, I would encourage you to use these as your topic sentence. Now, so I'm going to be a high school English teacher for just a minute. That you start with, I believe teachers are committed to students and their learning. And this is what it looks like in my classroom. Here are concrete examples of that. Are you following me? Teachers know the subjects they teach and how to teach those subjects to students. So this is where you're like, I go to these trainings and this is how I turn it around for my students. Teachers are responsible for managing and monitoring student learning. This is where you'll talk about how you are nimble in the classroom, that you're doing dynamic formative assessments, how you are knowing that your students are growing within the confines of your grade span and your content. And so it really goes very fast once you really start writing that down. I would recommend, if it was me, going through this again, is this document here, which is not hyperlinked, but it is later, is I would go through that document with a highlighter. And I would say, oh my gosh, I do that. I do that, and I do that. And, I don't do that, but I kind of wish I did. And it's going to give you lots of food for thought for the things you were already doing in your classroom that you could lift up as specific examples. Dr. Rogan, anything else you can think of related to that profile piece?
No, I just am surprised every year as I read over the applications that we get applications come in that never mention the 5 core propositions. And, just a basic level of common sense says these are here for a reason. To use those as an outline for your application makes a lot of sense. And to structure your statements around those core propositions, that's what we're looking for. That's what the reader's going to be looking for. And I'm always surprised at the number of people who just never even get back to the core propositions. They just kind of talk in general about their class and their own personal philosophy of teaching. So we do want to hear you. We want to learn about you, but we also want it structured around these core propositions. That's very, very helpful to the readers to be able to give you a good score. We want to give scholarships. The legislature has provided the money. We want to give scholarships, but the applications have to be impressive to the readers, who are all National Board certified teachers. And we don't have a set score as such, but that sort of varies from year to year. But we're not trying to weed out people necessarily. We're trying to say, if you can write a good application and show us who you are and how what you're doing in education right now, then we would like to give you a scholarship and help you on this journey to being National Board certified. So read this and basically follow it. It's there for you.
And that's great advice for National Board in general, because same thing as a mentor, and maybe I wasn't working with someone and talking with someone throughout their process, and then what they have is amazing. Like, it's so well written, but you didn't answer the questions at all. So as an old timer at National Board, I always say, whatever the question is for that particular component, you reword that, just like we teach our kids. You reword that question into a statement, and then you go through it. That way, when I went through National Board all 3 times, whatever the question was, I even italicized it in my writing. Just one is a reminder to me. I've answered that one. I've answered that one. And I'm like, whoever's reading it, just heads up. This is where I answered that one. And so, yeah, what Dr. Ogan said, if no matter how well it's written, our rubric is based completely on those 5 core propositions. Melissa, great question. Great name. So we will give you some information about what the regional in-service centers are. So we have 11 regional in-service centers, and there's a wonderful map that I bet Dr. Crow can get her hands on that shows where you teach. Now, this is where you teach, not by where you live. So by where you teach, there is a university right near you that every single one of them offer mentoring for candidates. Many offer scholarship supports. Those when it's time to renew it, to do your maintenance certification. Every single regional in-service centers, we call them RICs, receive funding to support you. So, but if they don't know about you, they can help you. If you are a scholarship recipient, they know about you because we sent all of your information to them and they've probably already been like messaging you. But if you are a scholarship recipient, well, that would not be because you've not gone through the scholarship yet. But when you do go through the scholarship and you receive it, if you do not hear from a RIC, from a regional in-service center director, that just means there must have been a mix-up with the email. So great question, Melissa. That is super important. They are amazing. They are amazing people who just want to help you. I would say this about the 5 core propositions as you are developing, because we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? 5 well-developed paragraphs with information. Of course, you can, flesh it out and add to it, but they are really looking for examples of how you engage your students, how, you show opportunities for growth, for self-discovery, for discourse, all of those things. So that one, once you start writing it, it goes pretty quickly. I would recommend, I would recommend that you let a buddy read it before you submit it. There's nothing like having a thought partner to say, get that pen out and tell me this makes sense. The other thing is the other document. So that's the first thing is your profile of teaching. The second thing you're going to do is provide a context of your school. And so on the top of your document, you're just going to tell us a little bit about, you'll say context of school, and you're going to tell us about your school in terms of demographic, things you're really proud of. We're a Blue Ribbon school. We had, 70% of our kids got qualifying scores on AP exams. You can talk about challenges. Maybe you have a lot of multilingual learners in your classroom and you are really trying to, be a great teacher to students who are learning the language. You may work in a school that has a high number of free reduced lunch students, just all of those things. Now, I'm going to stop there for a second. How many of you have heard about Atlas? Have you heard about Atlas yet? Okay, so check your email. So last night we sent you, or maybe this morning, or maybe at 2 a.m. this morning. I know it's happened between last night and this morning. We sent you invites to, I'm just going to show you super fast, to our Atlas site. And Atlas is, here it is. Atlas is a database that has the nationally board certified teachers videos, or we call them cases, those that have scored like 3.5 or higher. And I'm just going to click on the very first thing that I see. You will notice for all of these videos, you're going to see like the context. Like if you want to see what an example of a context of a school looks like, this is a great place to do it. Do you see this teacher? I got 21 students, 5 and 6 in kindergarten, 15 are girls. She gives, kind of a breakdown. All of these children can speak English in class. She talks about her students who are in speech emergence phase and so forth and so on. Now, if you've never seen this before, Dr. Crow, will you throw that link in the chat? You have access to this. And as you choose to go through the scholarship application, as well as National Board, once you're in Atlas, you can click on this little magnifying glass here and click on advanced search, and you're going to find your certificate area for National Board. Now, for those of us who have been NBCTs for a while, we could not believe National Board did this, because we were going through National Board like, oh, I want to see someone's video, or I want to see someone's commentary. And like, we don't do that. But now they do. So I'm just going to click on one. Let's say I'm going to click on mine. I'm English Language Arts Early Adolescence. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to show me all of these cases, all of these videos for, for that particular certificate. And I can see, once again, here's my context. Here's her instructional challenges, or his. So do you see that? So it's kind of helpful just to kind of see what that looks like. Now, just another nod to Atlas. You can also watch the videos that previous NBCTs have submitted to see what that looks like and how they actually wrote about those videos. I believe that is component 3 in your portfolio now. So yours will look very similar to that. The third document are those 2 letters of recommendation I just mentioned earlier. We want at least one of them to be from a current or previous administrator, maybe a principal, an AP, someone with the district, a superintendent. We want it to be someone who worked with you and was an administrator. And then the other one can be, like I said, it can be a student. I did see someone asked, I had gotten some letters and then I wasn't able to apply. We're fine with you just, resend it if you were not able to apply, to redate them, and as long as it's okay with whoever did those recommendations, we're fine with that as well.
I want to say something about the letters of recommendation, because we want letters that speak to your competence, your ability, your experience in the school, working with students, working with parents, working with teachers. Several times during the year, we'll get letters of recommendation from your pastor or your next door neighbor. And, they may be very fine people and say wonderful things about you, but they don't really know how you are as a teacher. And that's really what we're interested in here. So definitely one of them has to be one from an administrator, but both of them could be. But mainly people who understand and about teaching, and who have seen you teach, have seen you work with other teachers, parents that you've dealt with. As Dr. Shields said, sometimes students write the letters, and that's great. But they write it because they are familiar with your teaching, and that's what we're really looking for. So make sure your letters of recommendation focus on your teaching ability and philosophy.
Yeah. The last thing, so we're talking about, these 4 documents. I'll just kind of review them one more time. The last document is just 1 page, or it can be more than, I think you can single space it. So I think we have, yeah, we do. We have it. The limit is. This is where you just say, because you did in the first piece, you did your profile of teaching, where you're talking about your classroom and all the stuff you're doing. But we want to know maybe a little bit more. So if you are the lead teacher for your grade level, you were teacher of the year, you are the textbook person, you are the, all of the other things that you do, because we know that accomplished teachers are the ones that are doing 47 different things. This is where you just say, like, I got my, I did a master's in this, I've been letters trained, I've gone through OGAP, I wrote an article. You just tell us the things that you are doing in relation to your profession, as well as things you're doing in your community. I teach Sunday school. I'm, a little league baseball coach. I'm the, I work with the Girl Scouts. All of the things that you do. We just want to get a more, dimensional idea of the work that you do in the school and out of the school, because you will see when you go through National Board, they're going to ask very similar questions. Now, what you're going to do And we have folks that are like, I don't know how to do that. And we're always like, well, you're going to have to learn, because when you go to the national board, you're going to have to learn how to take documents and create one PDF. You're going to take your profile of teaching. You're going to take your context of your school. You know, you're telling us all about it. You're going to give us your 2 letters of recommendation, and you're going to give us your, what we called your, you know, your community and affiliations, your kind of your the other things that make you who you are as a teacher, as a community person. You're going to put all of those together in one document as a PDF, and that's what you upload. So you don't upload 4 things, you only upload 1 thing. It only lets you upload 1 thing. That is a skill that I think all of us have at this point in 2025. But if you don't have it, I highly suggest that you look at, I know Canva has some really cool things. There's a lot of websites that I use, tools that I use to combine PDFs, but now, I mean, they're so much easier to use than they used to be.
You make a general statement, Shields. We closed the window for applications at midnight on March 31st. Probably close to half of the applications that we get come in on March 30th and 31st. Give yourself a little grace period. I know this is a wild and crazy suggestion, but get it in a little early. So if you do have some kind of glitch, we've had several people in the past who all of a sudden they've had some kind of technical problem, and on the 31st, they really don't have time to address that. It's too late. So, you know, do the same thing you would tell your students. Go ahead and get it early, get it done. And so, and if there is a problem, then you have time to work around it. So please make sure that you're getting your things in, but definitely by the March 31st deadline.
Dr. Crow took I was just about to say the same thing. So how many of you are procrastinators? You don't have to like fess up, but just a little self-reflection here. With National Board, that you just can't do that. So that is something I'll tell you, it really changes you forever, because you especially if you're submitting all 4 components within that year, which is completely doable. We hear people like, oh, there's no way I could do that. I'm like, absolutely, you can do that. It's just you have to make the decision and think of what that's going to look like in your life. For me, for Melissa Shields, who had 2 little babies, you know, going through National Board, I chose, like, well, back then we didn't have a choice, but I went the whole thing. You know, I was like, I'm gonna do it hard. I don't want to do retakes. It's okay if you do have to do a retake, but I mean, I gave 120%, but because I had little babies and my school was 35 minutes away, I only worked on National Board on Friday and Saturday nights. The rest of the week I was teacher and mama, you know. And so that was my process, and I did that for 6 months, and I was able to finish all of my components early because I was like, here's my. So with this, just going back to what Dr. Rogan says, sometimes we get these, oh my gosh, please help me, I'm trying, and we can't, like, we want to give grace, but it's not fair. So if you can submit early, definitely do that. I'm not going to go through the application of your name and all that kind of stuff, so I'm going to scroll to some of the things I think you need to know. If you are a first-year teacher, this is new. Up until about maybe 3 years ago, Dr. Rogan, you had to have been a teacher for 3 years before you could pursue National Board. That has changed. That's per National Board. That's not us, but we, like I said before, what National Board does, we do as well. So if you are a year 1 or year 2 teacher, you can now apply for the scholarship. And so I think the only caveat to that is that you cannot complete the process until your 3rd year. So you would have to spread yours out until you are in your 3rd year as a classroom teacher. So you might do 2 components this year, 1 component next year, 1 the next year. So that is a wonderful thing, that if you are an early service teacher, now you can pursue a scholarship. Another thing we had a lot of questions about, and Dr. Rogan and I and the State Department are always quick to say, this is a legislative thing. So remember, this is a line item that is in our budget that is signed into law. And a few years ago, they added some information that the annual household income could not exceed $150,000 are 3 times the median household income for the state of Alabama. So when you fill this out, we're not asking for tax returns. We're not doing any of that. We're just saying, hey, how much money are you bringing home? So do know that that is a question that you will be asked on the scholarship application.
That's
We
one of the
wanted-
first, I'm sorry.
No,
I was just gonna say, that's one of the first things we look at on the applications. If they don't meet the $150,000 criteria, then there's no sense looking any further because that's an absolute and we cannot process it. That's, like Dr. Shields said, that's in the law. And so if you're making $150,100, then we're sorry, we can't look at it. You know, we have to draw the line, and the legislature drew the line for us, and we have to adhere to it. So that's, you know, there's nothing we can do about that. We wish we could in individual cases, but it's your adjusted gross income that you report on your income tax of the most recent year. So that's what we look at. But again, it's very important, and that is the first thing we look at.
William had a great question. So we are showing you the 2025 application because of course we have not updated for the 26 year, but it will look exactly like this with the language in the law is exactly the same. So as long as you have this, what a lot of folks do is they just go ahead and have everything written. And then when we put the application, make it live, I mean, that very day, we will normally have a number of people. The day we post it, there will be people who submit their application because they went ahead and got it done. They got their, recs in. And then there's those that are doing it at 11:59 on the night that it's due. We want to know if you have submitted components before. This is another new thing, at least in the last few years. Previously, if you had already started National Board, you could not pursue the grant or the scholarship. But we really thought long and hard about that. And we're like, why not? Like, who says we can't? There's nothing in the law that said that. So if you have previously submitted components, that's fine, but we can't pay for what you've already done. Like, there is no reimbursement. That's not the way this funding works. So let's say this year or last year, this year, last year, let's say this past spring that you submitted component 2. And so you still have 3 components left. You could apply for the scholarship to pay for the remaining components. Okay. But we just can't, we have a lot of people like, well, I want my money back for the one I've already submitted. And like, we don't write checks. We only send the money straight to National Board. Some things that are required, and this is also required by law, is that certain weights are given to teachers who serve in schools that have been identified for various reasons. So if you serve in a Title I school, we want you to click that. If you serve in a priority school, now a lot of teachers will be like, I don't even know what that is. And if I was a classroom teacher not working in a priority school, I probably would not know what that is either. So there's always, do you see how there's a link right here? There's always a link that will be like, if you're not sure, this is how you know. If you're not sure your school's a Title I school, this is where you would find that. If you're not sure that your school is a comprehensive support school, that's a federal thing. So every state in the country has what we call CSI schools. You will just click those to let us know that I serve in a school that meets one of these criteria. The other thing that's in our law is that we really look at those schools that have 5 or fewer NBCTs in your school. So we ask you, like, do you fit into that category as well? We are so pleased to see over these last few years that we have fewer and fewer schools that have 5 or fewer NBCTs, but there's still a few out there. So Melissa was asking about the regional in-service centers. This is where you tell us, these are my people. You tell us which regional in-service center serves you. Now, once again, we'll have people like, I don't know. Like, I don't know who my regional in-service center is. So there is a link that you will click on. I think it's right here at the very bottom. And where you can go in and determine, oh, so this is where I live, or excuse me, this is where I work. So this would be my regional in-service center. That helps us know how to support you. That is something that we use to make sure that you are connected with the right people. Now, this is another question that Dr. Rogan and I get a lot, and I'm sorry this is kind of blurry. I just realized it was so blurry. So one of the things we're going to ask you is to let us know which certificate that you are applying for. So I'm going to, for just a moment, I'm going to go to our website, or just, this is just a, I'm going to go with this one here. This is just, this is not a Melissa Shields Assistant State Superintendent website. This is Melissa Shields, a fellow teacher passion project website. And this is just a website I have to support NBCTs. This is completely, I would say, outside of my work. It's just something I know I would have enjoyed this. So I'm going to go to, I want you to see all the certificate options that you have. Can you see that screen okay? Okay. So if you have any questions about, I don't know which certificate I want to be. Are any of you 8th grade teachers? Do I have any 8th grade teachers in the room, or 9th grade teachers? I don't see any. The reason I ask is, if you are an 8th grade teacher, I just want to give you an example. If you're an 8th grade teacher and you teach English, right? You will see that if you choose the certificate for, I'll make this a little bigger for you because I know it's kind of small. Let me go a little bigger. Okay. So if I chose to do early adolescent certificate for English language arts, I can see that that serves grades, ages 11 to 15. How old are 9th graders? They're 14, 15, right? Or if I wanted to do adolescence, young adulthood, I can see that picks up from 14 to 18. So you see there's some overlap. So sometimes our 8th and 9th grade teachers are like, I don't know which one I want to do. So we usually just say, look at the portfolio instructions, see which one you feel like is most in your comfort level. If you are an elementary teacher, let's say you teach grades K-5. I'm looking at the chat, make sure I'm not missing anybody. I see 8th grade science. Okay, thank you, Sharon. So Sharon, that's you. So I'm gonna go over here to science. So same, it's this, and the numbers are the same. I mean, the H's are the same. So for science, if you teach 8th grade, you have the choice of doing young, early adolescence or the young adulthood. And you can see that it shows you kind of how that breaks down. What I was going to say, if you're an elementary teacher, you have a number of options too. Some folks choose to do what is called the generalist for early childhood, which would fall with the ages of 3 through 8. Or they do middle childhood, which falls within the ages of 7 to 12. So you've got to figure out what grade spans those are. However, about 10, gosh, maybe more than that now, 12, 13 years ago, they added a certificate that's called literacy. So if you just want to do literacy for those grades, you will see that there is a early and middle childhood, which serves ages 3 to 12. Any questions on that? If just as you're thinking through your certifications? So let's say you decide and you complete the scholarship, because this happens every year. So you fill a scholarship and you're like, this is what I'm doing. And then you get scholarship and you're like, but maybe not. Maybe I'm going to do something else. It is totally okay to change it. Like, we're not going to hold you and, to it. It just helps us know, how many science teachers we have, how many whatever. However, once you register a national board with your scholarship, which would be way next year, they're gonna hold you to it if you do not change it. Dr. Rogan, I know we've had a lot of issues with this in the past.
Yeah, it's fine with us if you want to change your initial selection for a certification area, but we are a lot more flexible than National Board is. So as Dr. Shields was saying, once you have locked in with them and formally registered and said this is what you're pursuing, then that's what you're pursuing. So if you tell us on your application you're going for a certain certificate later on this summer, after getting your scholarship, you talk with someone, you change your mind, that's okay, that's fine. Just know that the National Board, once you last sign up with them, then that's what you're pursuing.
Yeah. Yeah, and once, like, we can't change national board's mind. Like, once they say something, we're like, yes, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. Because that's, we just feed them the money, and then their protocols are totally up to them. Laura, thank you, Dr. Crow, thank you for putting that in the chat. That is a great point. So, because we get this a lot too. So I teach 10th grade. I've got some 15-year-olds, or I've got some 14-year-olds in 10th grade. Well, the rule is 50% of the students need to be in that grade span for you to get that certificate. So just heads up on that. Okay, I'm gonna go back to our screenshot. So you'll just tell us which one that you're doing. Now there's some, we're like, okay, we're going to give you, I don't even think we've mentioned that. You're going to get $1,900, which will cover all 4 components unless you have already completed another component. So then it will just pay for whatever is remaining. So the State Department, once you get the scholarship, will pay for your full suite of assessments that are remaining. But the requirements the National Board has, for you to go through National Board, you have to have a bachelor degree or higher. You have to teach for Alabama, you have to teach in a public pre-K-12 school. So if you work at a university or you work in a private school, then you are not eligible for the ALSD scholarship. You got to say, I'm going to give you 3 years. I'm going to stick around for 3 years and stay in an Alabama school. That does not mean that you cannot change jobs. So we have a lot of people get a scholarship, and next thing we know, they're the principal, or they're the reading coach, or they're interventionist. Not a problem. You still get to keep your scholarship. And just so you know, let's say you get scholarship and you get a different job. You change schools, you get a promotion, whatever the case may be. We have superintendents that have gone through National Board. I'm thinking of Christy Watkins. I don't know if we have any Jasper City people in the room, but Christy Watkins is a curriculum director in Jasper City. And at that level, she went through the full National Board process, did the whole thing in 1 year by borrowing students. I think she borrowed them every Friday morning or something. So, she was able to get scholarship and become an NBCT. So as long as you stay, doesn't matter if you change jobs. You have to complete the portfolio within 3 years. That's the National Board thing. Like, you get 3 years to go through all 4 components. And if you don't do that within that 3 years, then they will okay, you have lost your eligibility. We say if we're going to give you money, that you have to submit at least 1 the following year. That's all we ask. You just, as long as you do 1, then you are able to keep your scholarship. There is a $75 registration fee each year of your candidacy that we do not cover. So that is just another incentive. So if you do everything in 1 year, you only pay $75 once. You understand that? So let's say I do 1 component this year, I got to pay $75. I do 2 components the next year, I got to pay $75. I do another component the 3rd year, I got to pay $75. So that is due every year. And because it's so fluid, that registration fee is left up to the candidate. So just be aware of that. And then we already mentioned that about the household income. Do I have any counselors in the room? I just thought about that. If you are a counselor, just in case there is one, or you know one, where it says have baccalaureate or higher degree, if you have a counseling certificate, that counts as well. If you are a CTE teacher, there are some provisions for a CTE teacher as long as they have credentials and they are certified through the state. So there's a little wiggle room for counselors and career tech teachers. Just wanted you to be aware of that. And this is where you add that 1 document that has your profile, your contacts, your letters of recommendation, your list of professional accomplishments. You tell us, like, I really meant what I say. All this is true. And then we always put the language regarding the law. So I'm going to take a breath for a second. Dr. Crow, is there anything in the chat that I need to address?
No, I've been kind of answering the questions.
Excuse me, I want to go back to the $75 just for a moment. You will receive your notification that you've received your scholarship as Dr. Shields said earlier, in the first part of May, we have had people who have gone ahead and registered at that point and paid $75. And yet your scholarship money will not be available till much later in the year, and your actual registration will occur in the following year. And so if you pay the $75 at that point in the first summer, just after you've gotten your scholarship notification, you're basically just wasting $75. Wait until the following year when you actually get your scholarship funds are put in. It takes a while for the State Department to send this money to the National Board, and then for the National Board to assign the money to your individual account that you have with them. And so we don't want you to waste $75. Hold off on it and just wait until you're ready to register for your components early in the next year, and save that $75.
We will nudge. We will nudge you so hard. So we always say, just don't spend a penny until we're like, and it is time. So thank you, Dr. Rogan. There are folks that they're just eager and they're like, I paid the $75. Like, oh gosh, you've not even started yet. Don't send it. So that leads me to the other thing that you need to know. So people don't realize, and some of you said, like, I'm brand new, that National Board is always at the least going to be a 2-year process. Even if you do everything in 1 year, you spend the entire school year going through National Board. You want to submit all your components, take the assessment. You submit everything in May or June, depending on when you do your assessment. And then you have to wait, and it is painful, until December of the next year to see if you are nationally board certified. So because obviously it takes a lot of time to go through these portfolios. So that's just another thing to know. So I'm going to go back to our initial document, and I want to click on what we call the recipient calendar. So if you get the scholarship, we want you to know this is what it looks like. So in January, we will announce the scholarship. So keep this calendar handy. We want you to start working on it in March 31st, we'll submit it. By May, we'll let you know if you've got it. And then hopefully you'll be right back here next year for boot camp and for whatever components that you have remaining. And so we will help onboard you and get you ready for that. We also remind folks in the summer, like, this is a good time to look at the instructions. People do not understand the importance of reading the instructions. So let me just show you something really quick. So I'm going to click on Guide to Certification. And when you go to this website, this is the National Board website. It's going to tell you a lot about, how to get started. But what I tell folks, if it was me, I'm going to go on down to, is I want to know what are my instructions? Like, what do I need to know? So I'm going to click on down just a little bit here. Where are my, let's see. I think this is going to take me, yes, this is going to take me to that, which is a much better version of the chart I sent. So I'm going to put that in the chat so you'll have it. And I'm going to go to your actual instructions. Let me back up just a little bit. They've just updated their website, so bear with me while I'm re-navigating. I think it's this one. I think it's this one here. Yes, they call it homeroom now. I forgot about that. Yep. Sure, step 1. Oh my. Okay, they have definitely done a lot. This is all new.
Mm-hmm.
It looks great.
Yeah, I wanted to put in a plug for their website, nbpts.org. They have as you can see from what Dr. Shields is showing you here, it is an excellent website, and they have almost any question that you can ask is going to be covered here somewhere. So we have people who actually get started the process and they've never looked at the National Board website, which I'm not sure how you do that, but you should you should immerse yourself in this website. It is a well done one now. That's probably even better now. since they've just updated it, but it's very, very helpful. So you're wasting a tremendous resource if you don't spend a lot of time wandering through the National Board website.
Yep, and you can see I was having to find it myself, so I just made it a little easier for you. I just put in the chat. So if you're like, well, I want to know, so you're telling me about the scholarship, but once I commit and get the scholarship, I want to know what the instructions are. So I just put that in the chat. And so once I go to that website, I can say, I think I saw someone that said she was a special education teacher. So I'm going to go to exceptional needs specialist. Okay. I'm gonna click on that. And there's only one that you don't have choices. It's birth through 21. So I'm gonna click on that and boom, there's my instructions. Here's everything I need for component 1, which is the assessment, everything I need for component 3, which are the videos, component 2 and 4. These are the standards. I do not want to echo what I'm sure you've already heard in other sessions today, but that's where you're like, okay, so this is what they're asking me to do. This is what it's gonna look like. So this would tell you in June, go ahead and do that. Go ahead and look at the instructions. Go ahead and look at your portfolio. That way, when you come to boot camp, you're like, this is what I need to know. And I know that's what you're doing, this week is looking through those standards in the portfolio. And so this really just lays out what it looks like. In December, we're saying, work on your components, and then you'll see in May, we go by whatever National Board's deadline is. So I just wanted you to see kind of the way that works, because I think some people believe you start National Board and I'm just going to submit a component in October and I'm going to submit one in February, and it doesn't work that way. So you can submit it early, but your portfolio is not really submitted until the May deadline, when you're like, these are all my things. You have to click a button. It's like, I am done. So, and everybody's is scored between May and December. Dr. Crow, is there anything else that you can think of related to that? Because we get a lot of questions about kind of the timeline of that.
I just put that document you're sharing right now into the chat. We used it earlier in one of our presentations. Great resource. I think one of the most common questions is, and I've been trying to answer it into the chat. So if you apply for the scholarship, you'll receive notification in May, and it's for the following academic year, which is great, because I always say that the summer is the great time to become knowledgeable of the process, because that's half the battle. And using that time in the summer when you're not distracted with all the things of school to become knowledgeable and come up with a game plan for the following academic year.
Yeah, for a few years, just to show you why we changed it. So for a few years, the scholarship wasn't even announced until October. And so candidates didn't even find out about it till maybe January. Well, half the school year's over, so it would be very hard for them to finish the year and do all 4 components. Yeah. So when I went through it, 20-something years ago, 26 years ago, it was in the spring. And just like Dr. Crow said, I had the summer to kind of get my mind and heart ready for what's coming. And then when school started in September, what am I saying? August, I wish September, I was able to move forward.
Yeah, let me make a point there about in January, when we announce the scholarship that it's open for that year. You might wonder, how do you find out about this? Notices will be sent to your school system, but they don't always filter down to the individual classroom teachers. Your regional in-service center will have the information. They will have it posted on their website. And so the easiest, to me, the most reliable place to go is just to check in with your regional in-service center, and they will have the application posted on their website.
Yeah. Yeah. And we do everything but send courier pigeons, to you to make sure that you're aware of it. I just realized as we were I was looking through some of the things we've already discussed, something that's really important, very important, is for your scholarship, is we want you to see what the rubric looks like. And this is really important for National Board as well, because, I was just sharing with you, let me go back to what so I'm going to go back to this exceptional needs, and I could have clicked on a number of certificates. Each one of these at the end are going to have the rubric for what is a 1, 2, 3, or 4. How do you get a higher score for each of these components. I wish in the old days I would show mine because of course everything was sent to us in a box. It was not, there's nothing digitized, but I mean, you can see coffee stains all over my rubrics for each of those components because I was like, okay, what's a 3? A 3 means I gotta get a 3. I really wanted a 4, but 3 was my, I knew if I got a 3 or higher, I was going to be in good standing. So your portfolio instructions for the actual national board are already there, but let's just talk about the scholarship. We took the language from national board, which you will see is related to, is it clear, consistent, and convincing? You're going to hear that expression so many times when you go through national board. Be like, you know what? We need to just go ahead and, insert that in our profile and our rubric as well. So this is the actual rubric that the scorers use to go through your scholarship application. And just like Dr. Rogan said, you're going to click all these things. Yep, done that. You let us know if you teach at a Title I school, if it's priority or CSI, if you have less than 5 teachers who are NBCTs. And then the scores are going to go through, did you, in your profile of teaching, how well did you address that you are committed to your students and their learning? And what they're looking at, did you provide clear, consistent, and convincing evidence that that is you? And then we gave you some language here, once again, to kind of break down what does that mean for a teacher to be committed to his students and their learning. Proposition 2, teachers know the subjects they teach and how to teach them. How do we know that? So for each of those, the readers are looking to see how explicitly, but also remember, you want to use your normal talking voice. You don't want to come off as overly scholarly. We want to hear you. We want to hear your voice. We look for those supporting documents that we've already talked about, your recommendations, your school context, and they review it, and then we take those scores. And what we really do is if you've ever been a cheerleading coach or I'm trying to think of a good example, is we really look to see, okay, how much money do we have to give, and where is there a significant break in scores? The last couple years, Dr. Rogan, I can tell you, if you had a solid scholarship, you followed the application guidelines, you submitted everything, we have had an excellent turnover for folks to receive the scholarship. So we're very optimistic that we would have that moving forward.
About 70% of our applications end up receiving a scholarship. So it's, the legislature's been very generous in terms of the funds they provided us. And so we're very pleased, as Dr. Shields was indicating, we get a lot of really good scholarship applications. And so we're able to fund approximately 70% of those who apply. Your chances are real good.
Yeah.
If you follow the instructions.
Yes. Yeah. Now, if I didn't know you in this venue, I would be telling you go watch the boot camp recordings. I'm not going to tell you that because you're here. But for folks that are just hearing about the scholarship, maybe after the fact, we always say, listen, we have spent a ton of time providing what am I trying to say? On-demand training for folks that are going through national board. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I figured you might want to hit some of the connection cafes or, have some time to think about what you have learned today. But here are some of the most common questions that we get from scholarship applicants. I think we've already said to you, it says, is this scholarship for first-year NBCT candidates only? If you submit your 4 components and you don't get the score you want, you can redo one. It's called a retake. And that's very common. The national board is hard. So my sister's a CPA and she had to take, the accounting test a couple times, she probably wouldn't appreciate me saying that. But it's hard. However, this grant cover retakes. It will only cover your first time going through National Board. I already mentioned that. Yes, you can apply. You've already submitted components. Can I apply if I applied in a previous year and didn't get the scholarship? Absolutely. You know, we have some parts of the state that are just really competitive. So I would add to this, and thank you, Dr. Rogan, because when you said that earlier, I need to tell them this. If you don't get the scholarship, please know that is not like, oh my gosh, I just don't need to go to the National Board. I'm not worthy. The scholarship is competitive, okay? National Board is not competitive. Like, you got to get the score and you become an NBCT. So I know many people who have applied for the scholarship and they did not get it, although the odds are much better now than they used to be, who were able to go through National Board in 1 year and became NBCT. So just wanted to say that. Dr. Rogan already mentioned that. You will not receive a check. If you work in, I think, Madison County, Madison City, Huntsville, I know they have like scholarship opportunities for teachers going through National Board. If you are already getting money from or funding from another source, that they don't stack it. So we would say you're not eligible because you're already getting funded somewhere else. But some people go ahead and apply for both just to be sure, and I would do the same. I think that's great logic. If I'm unable to complete the components within 3 years, does the scholarship end? Yes. If you do not submit all 4 components within 3 years, the scholarship ends, and so does your eligibility with National Board. You would have to start the process all over again. If you move to another state before the 3 years are up, am I required to return the money? Yes, that is the expectation. You are not required to submit all 4 components. Don't let anyone tell you that that is impossible, because it is so possible. But you have the option, depending on your lifestyle, how busy you are, if you want to spread it out over 1, 2, or 3 years. I already told you about the $75. Just as Dr. Rogan said, don't pay it until we tell you to. Just don't spend any money. We got you. The scholarship does not cover what we call, it's really MOC, not renewal. If I don't receive NBC, if you do not become a National Board Certified Teacher, do you have to pay the money back? No. Can I tell you now, while I have, however many of you are in this room, I've been doing this for 25 years. I was a mentor before I was even National Board Certified, and that was terrifying because I was so scared I would not certify, and these people were like, this girl doesn't even know what she's talking about. But no one knew what National Board was back then. And all of my years of doing this, I have never known a single candidate who stuck with it, okay? And I'm not talking about those who did it 1 year like, I'm out. Those that stuck with it, went to mentoring, had thought partners who did not become an NBCT. There's not one person that I know. So if you've got the heart for it and the gumption, you can do it. I want to say that while I have you in front of me. It is doable, but it is hard. No one said this was easy. That's why you get the stipends.
Yeah. Dr. Shields, I wanted to share a quotation Dr. Crow is very familiar with. In fact, that's where I got it from. But Ron Clark Academy in Atlanta, made this statement, which has a lot of impact to it. He said, I wish all U.S. students understood that when you receive a scholarship, it's not money you have won or even earned. It's someone's investment and belief in you, and you should treat it as such. And so I think that says a lot about the fact that the State Department of Education and the Alabama State Legislature are investing in you when they give you a scholarship, and they believe in you that the money will be well spent.
I had not heard that, Ron Clark. I love that. And that one thing I do have to say for the legislature, we are so happy that they see the impact and they're putting their money in teachers to say, we want to support you through this process. The best thing about National Board, I think, is the person that does the fixing of, what we do in the classroom is us. It's us looking at our work over a period of 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and thinking about how we can do our best work. I think that's the most quintessential piece of National Board. Can I be working on the process? If you apply for the scholarship in March of next year, absolutely, you can begin working. And we talk a little bit about that. We just say if you submit something, we can't reimburse you. It's National Board teachers who scored these. They are very well trained and they take it seriously. It is an event every year. We will always let you know by email, and we do the fireworks. We try to make it as fun as possible for our scholarship recipients. We'll let you know either way. Like I said, you'll get an email and you'll get something in the actual mail because sometimes the emails bounce back to us.
Let me emphasize that we had said earlier that the readers are all National Board certified teachers working in public schools in Alabama now. But there will not be, and they are from all around the state. But people in your region, National Board teachers in your region, will not be reading your application. We cross them up across the state so that people are only reading applications from school systems that are not in their particular region.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's very important to us. We don't ever want someone like, oh, I know them, I go to school with them, or I teach their, we always make sure that it's completely anonymous, that they have no relationship with anybody that they're scoring. We have shared, I think 72 times now, that there is support for you through your regional in-service centers, through the Alabama network, through AEA, through the State Department. We are certainly here to help. That we only do the scholarship application once a year. So we only share it in January, and it's due March 31st. So there aren't multiple cycles for that. I'm not a teacher. Can I still apply? Absolutely. Whether you're a principal, an AP, a librarian, a speech pathologist, we get that a lot. Absolutely. You can pursue a National Board and pursue the scholarship. We have already shared the calendar with you to let you know when you can submit those components in the spring. I think I've already mentioned this one. Like if you change jobs, that is not a problem. We will work with you unless you leave the public K-12 setting. That is when it can't follow you. So as long as you stay in a public K-12 school, if you go to university, if you go work for the State Department, if you take a job in a private school, then that funding can't follow you. Now, if you teach in a private school, because we get that a lot, you can go through National Board. Like National Board will certainly honor that and you will still be an NBCT, but you just aren't eligible for the scholarship. If you are in I don't know about the certificate, once again, when we nudge you for the $75, we're going to say, okay, now it is time to make your decision. Like which certificate are you choosing to go with? Have you already learned today that you don't have to do them in order? Have you already been told that? Like you don't have to go 1, 2, 3, 4? Okay, good. That, a lot of people start with 3. We put an example of what it could look like, but there is no reason. You do what makes the most sense for you. As soon as you get your scholarship, we take it completely off your hands and we do all the legwork with National Board to make sure that everything goes straight into your account. So there's nothing for you to do. I think we've already shared a lot of those calendaring from the National Board as well. It's already on our stuff. So I'm going to quit sharing and let me just make sure there's anything else I wanted to. So I'm going to just kind of now pitch it back to you. We share a lot of information, but I want to make sure you get what you want. Are there any lingering questions about the scholarship that maybe we have missed, or just maybe something that you can think of is random that we've not even discussed yet? I don't see anything else in the chat. All right, well, with that, we're going to let you, if you want to go to a Connection Cafe, if you've not already visited one of those, we love that. That's a session that you can go and just be like, I need help, or I do have a random question, who can help me? Or like I said, just kind of take this time to drink another cup of coffee and think about what you have learned. But Dr. Rogan and I will stay on for a minute in case there are some specific questions that you may have that you think would not benefit the whole group. Dr. Crow, is there anything they need to know for closing us out?
No, I've listed the cohort schedules of your regional in-service center